Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for June 19, 2025. We're going to be looking at the top 10 players we've drafted in fantasy football thus far. Obviously, best ball because real drafts haven't happened yet. Those will happen in August. So you can look at those then, but we will be talking about the players we drafted the most so far. And we're going to exclude like late round guys. We'll mention them in honorable mentions, but we're just looking like the top 10 like real players we drafted. Before we get into that, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something from the merch store. It is our Pedo Pete t-shirt, and yes, the same one from yesterday. Shirt's so nice, I had to wear it twice. You can get that as well as many others on the merch store here. 20% off. We had a 15% off sale recently, now 20% off. And Kenny, we have two new t-shirts I wanted to share.
Nice.
The first one is a Matt Millen related t-shirt. We have 100% USDA man. Of course, the Kielbasa's are there for Matt Millen. So there's that, and I think you might like this a lot more. The Watson and Tucker massage parlors. Get your happy ending today. And there's a picture of a shady massage parlor with the word massage misspelled. It is. I love this t-shirt. I can't wait to order it. I'm going to order it actually tonight probably. So you can get that as well as everything else here. We have mugs or apron. You can change the colors on the t-shirt. You can get them in hoodie if you want. You can get them in women's tank top. There's a lot of options here. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks to the College Years. Where I made fun of people I met at Penn State. I was there for 6 years, and it was a lot of fun writing this book. And by the way, yeah, 5.0 rating out of 5. Might be the best book of all time. We're perfect. So you can get your book here. That would help us out. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. Slew, John Sanders have been the best in that regard. Also, Cam McNeagle, Degeneron, Armac, Karmic, the boss, Evan Daniel. You guys have been so great with the contributions. Just really appreciate it. And I can't say it enough because YouTube ads pay nothing. Like really, it's rather sad. So any help you can get us is really appreciated. All right, we're joined by Kenny at thecapisfake.com. Kenny, how are you? And how's your week off?
Oh, it was pretty crazy. I was traveling in Philadelphia, the great city that is, the great hometown that every time I visit, I think to myself, man, I love my family, but I don't need to come back here. My sister graduated. She's a pre-med student at Drexel, so go Dragons. You know what I also thought about? I never really evaluated graduation ceremonies. Have you ever thought about how weird the graduation ceremony is? Like, you have all these people in a room. You get hundreds and hundreds, thousands, maybe people at a graduation ceremony. And like everyone who's attending cares about like less than 1% of the actual ceremony. The only part I care about is when my sister's name is called and we all cheer for her. Like that's it.
Right,
like
right.
2.5 hours. All I cared about was that 25-second moment. Everyone in the room is exactly the same. Everyone cares about this little fragment, but everyone's fragment is different. It's like a weird. Is there any other event like this where like a large gathering of people? Oh, like if you go to think about concerts, sporting events, there's no other event in American society quite like a graduation ceremony where everyone there couldn't give a rip about 99.9%, but yet we all sit through this boring event. And it's strange. It's just a strange thing.
It is. I actually wrote about a graduation ceremony in Jerks to the College Years because I actually had to cover one when I worked at the Westchester Daily Local. I was covering, I was an intern there. I was covering high school sports, and the person who was covering, graduations was out, and so they're like, "Hey, new guy, you gotta go cover the graduation." It was a 9-person senior class in I don't know, it's like a special school or something. And because there are only 9 people in that class, each of them gave a speech, and it was so brutal to just like listen to these speeches. Some of them were okay, but this one guy started comparing his high school career to Chelsea soccer, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be so boring. He talked for like a half hour. I swear, it was so bad, and it was so hot in there. There was no air conditioning. It was the middle of June. It was excruciating, like one of the worst experiences ever. So yeah, you can read all about that. Actually, one of the sisters of the graduating students was a girl who went to our high school. She was 2 years ahead of us, and she was on the swim team. She was like a smoke show. She's 2 years ahead of me. So like I had no chance as a lowly underclassman compared to her. But then like I saw her there.
I don't believe that.
Well, actually, I took to my prom. I took a girl a year ahead of me. This hot Asian girl. Anyway, so I saw this girl, and I was like trying to talk to her, but I was like so dehydrated. I couldn't even like talk. It was so brutal. I was like, and then afterward, I was like, man, I blew my chance. But oh well, what could have been, I guess. But yeah, you can read all about that in Jerks of the College Years. So hopefully that brings us another sale. We could get another 5 out of 5 reading. But yeah, you're right about graduations. It is bizarre, and yeah, no one cares about 99% of it. And for my college graduation, I was super hungover, so that was something.
I've actually never gone to a college graduation. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and I've never cared. I don't know. I just never cared enough.
You never went to your own graduation?
No, I never did. I've not been to one.
Nice. Yeah, look, it is a waste of time. I don't know. I was sitting next to my friend Melissa at my graduation. We were just like crap talking people around us. Like I said, I was hungover, and we were partying the night before together, and like we were just making fun of people like the entire time. So that helped me get through it. I think we were both like hurting a lot.
I think to some extent, for me, like I went to college 2 years, dropped out, and then went back and dropped out. Like it took me, so like I didn't go to. If I had gone to college for like 4 years with like all my friends and like we were all graduating together, that would be one thing. But like I wouldn't have known anyone, so I didn't care. So that was kind of my thing. Like that's kind of been my situation every time along the way. So
yeah, that's fair enough. Although I went there for 6 years, so I had 1.5 times the ability to meet people. I don't know. It was fun. It was fun. My first couple of years I didn't like it too much, but then it kind of grew on me. When I changed my major, it really changed things for me because I went in for computer science and I hated it. At first I liked it, and then like each semester onward, it got worse and worse. And then part of the reason is that we didn't do any coding, which you would think you would do in computer science. In my freshman year, we did some coding and then it stopped. It was over. We did like weird math stuff that like never would apply to our jobs. Like it made no sense. And eventually I had to transfer out, and it worked out because I went into sports journalism, and then I used that to help me write with the website, and that just took off. So it's the best academic thing I've ever done is changing my major. Yeah. All right, so we'll get into our topic here. We've both done a lot of drafts. We've done 100 drafts combined. A little nuts here in middle of June. I feel like by the end of the summer, we'll have like 400 drafts under our belts.
This is degenerate, right? This is degenerate status right here.
Well, look, we're trying to win $2 million here, so that is the goal. Every time we do a best ball draft, I'm like, this could be the $2 million draft you're witnessing right now, and it would be awesome if first of all, if we won, that would be great. Second, if we won, we could like link back to that draft. Be like, hey, this is how we did it.
That's right.
So that would be pretty sweet. But yeah, we're going to talk about the top 10 most drafted players we've had so far. I imagine our lists are going to be different, although I'm sure there can be some overlap. And we're not going to talk about the late round guys. I already said that. We're not going to talk about the late round guys, but I will mention who they are before we begin. Sue says I didn't go to my college graduation either. At the last day of classes, I was out of there. Yeah, look, I mean, for me, I guess I don't know. Penn State's different. After our semester was over, we had a whole week until graduation, and it was called like senior week, and like it was just partying the whole time. It was crazy. Like people just going nuts the whole time. That's part of the reason why I was so hungover that day. It was an insane week, but it was a lot of fun. I do miss it. That Melissa girl I told you about, who I sat next to, I haven't spoken to her since. We were good friends in college, and I just haven't spoken to her since. It's kind of crazy. I don't know what she's doing now. Anyway, let's enough reminiscing. I guess we could do that again, or we could keep doing it, I guess. All right. So, did you want to do your honorable mentions first, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I can do it. I can give you mine.
I have like 2 groups of honorable mentions. I have like the late round guys, and I have like the 11 to 15 I want to mention too.
Yeah, I got a group of guys that all have 32% ownership. One's 31 or 30, but they're all in that low 30 range. And so they are, Tyler Higbee's one of them. So he's one of the guys I keep drafting late, similar to you mentioned. Now you mentioned him. Dalton Schultz, is in that range for 32% for me. Michael Pittman, 32%. Tracy from the Giants, which hurts my soul to even think about me owning him in a third of my leagues. I mean, it's just ridiculous. 15 out of 35 of my drafts. Oh gosh. And then and Ramondre Stevenson comes up on my list. I keep getting late into the draft. You know, his Stevenson's ADP on DraftKings right now is like, I don't know, something like 128, I think.
Yeah, it's like round 12. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep getting there. He's just clearly, particularly if I go wide receiver heavy early in the draft, I get late. I'm always looking for decent running backs. So Tracy and Stevenson are always sitting there, just great value. So I find myself scooping them up quite a bit. So that's kind of my my honorable mention group.
Okay, my first group is late round guys that I didn't want to include in this list. There are three of them. The first is Theo Johnson. So talk about soul hurting. I have him in 36% of leagues. I like his athleticism, but I'm getting him like 17th, 18th round. So in real fantasy, he's probably not going to be drafted. But we're talking best ball where you need 3 tight ends. I'm taking him in about a third of leagues. At 47%, I have Will Shipley, taking him in like the 16th round. So again, real leagues, probably not drafted, although maybe like final pick. I think Saquon Barkley is amazing, but if he gets hurt, it's gonna be the Will Shipley show. Plus, I think with all the touches Barkley had last year, I think like early mid-season, they're not going to give Barkley as much of a workload as they did last year. Like Shipley's going to get some work. And if there's a blowout, like we saw in the NFC Championship, Shipley can come in and run for a 60-yard touchdown, which he did against Washington. So I love Shipley. I think he's a great talent, too. I think that he could be a starter for sure down the road. I made so we had Ben Wasley from FFPFantasyFootball.com on Saturday. And I was like, Ben, I have Tyler Higbee in a bunch of drafts. Like, do you want to guess what percentage I have him in drafts? And he's like, what, 45%? And I was like 81%, and he like spit out his drink. Like I should have like waited until he was done. I just take him in the 19th round. Like he's always there. He's my third tight end. Matthew Stafford loves him. He's reliable. He's healthy now, unlike last year. So, I have a bunch of Tyler Higbee at 81%. So for my 15 to 11. I have, let's see, you mentioned Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. is my number 15 at 24%. AJ Brown, 26%. Well, all these guys are 26%, so I guess they're tied. So 11 through 14, they're all tied. AJ Brown, 26%. The only reason I don't have him more is because he gets taken, If I get a chance to draft AJ Brown, I draft AJ Brown in the second round. He's amazing. Jordan Addison, 26%. Now, this is before the DUI stuff. His trial for DUI is going to be in July, so there's a chance he could be suspended. So I assume that percentage is going to go down. Zay Flowers, 26%. He is, I know you're not a big fan, and I can see why in like real fantasy, but in best ball, you have those spike weeks. That's kind of what you want. So I like Flowers' upside. And then Ray Davis at 26% as well. James Cook might hold out. Even if he doesn't, there's going to be touchdown regression. If he's injured, Ray Davis is going to come in. We saw Ray Davis go nuts in the Monday night game when Cook was out. So I like Ray Davis as like one of those like mid-round running backs, and I have a few on this list as well we're going to get to. So those are my 11, 15. Did any of those make your top 10? You don't have to mention which ones.
Yeah. There's one that makes my top 10. I would do one comment on Will Shipley, by the way, who I think is a great talent. Yeah. I can't bring myself to draft him ever. Like, really? There have been multiple moments where he's the best player on the board, and I can't draft him. I don't think I've drafted him one time in my 35 drafts because I have an emotional thing attached to this. Me drafting Shipley is, in essence, acknowledging there's a possibility that Barkley could get hurt, and I cannot live in a world where I believe Barkley's going to get hurt. I cannot emotionally bring myself. I have convinced myself that Barkley is going to be fully healthy all year long. Therefore, Will Shipley's a total waste of a draft pick. That's kind of which I rationally know that's bogus, but the emotional, irrational side of me has convinced myself of that.
Isn't it like more of a hedge though? I used to have this friend, and like I don't really talk to him anymore. He's an alcoholic, but we used to. It's true. It's true. Last time I saw him, he pissed himself in a hotel bed. But anyway, he has this. He used to have this thing where we used to hang out, and like when the Flyers were in. I know you don't like hockey, but when the Flyers were in the playoffs, he would always bet against the other. He would always bet on the other team whenever the Flyers were playing, because under his reasoning, he's like, "Look, if the Flyers win, I'm happy, and if they lose, I win money." And knowing the Flyers' playoff success, he won a decent amount of money that way. So it's kind of like an emotional hedge that he had. Like you don't think that you should have like an emotional hedge for Barkley?
I can't bring myself to do it. No, I can't do it.
All right, well, fair enough. I mean, we all have our different methods. I'm agnostic.
Listen, I recognize it's not. I'm not being rational. I recognize that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, I mean, I'm not a fan of any team. I always say the team I like is the one I'm betting. So I guess like I'm okay in that regard, even though I'm from the city that you're like, oh, who would want to live there? Although I'm like a little bit outside of it, but I know I agree. I wish we could get out of here for sure. All right, so do you want to go first? Want to go 10-1?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you my my 10th one is Mr. AJ Brown. You mentioned him.
Nice.
I own him in 35% of my leagues. My drafts, I have him in. I just think he's awesome. PFF just ranked him the number 1 receiver in the NFL, which may not be totally accurate, but whatever. He's awesome, and I just think people will just underrate him. He's been injured. The passing game was down last year for the Eagles. They relied so much on the running game, but I just can't imagine they're going to come back. I mean, people forget what 2022 was like in the first half of 2023. They threw the ball all over the yard, and I totally think they could do that again in 2025. AJ Brown's awesome, and his ADP is just. I mean, I've gotten him in the mid to late second round a few times. I've gotten him in a couple times. I've drafted at the bottom of the first, the 12-1 turn, and I've taken him there. I don't understand why people are down on him. Why is his ADP down into the second round? It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I guess the reason why you're a little higher on him percentage-wise is because, like, if I'm drafting it like the turn at 112 or 201, which actually doesn't happen that often. I always find myself I'm always like pick 6 or 7. Like I'm like almost never 11 or 12. When I do have 11 or 12, I always take like 2 or 3 like Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas or Nico Collins. Not that I necessarily think they're better than Brown. It's just because I have a lot of Brown and I want some variety. So I want to get those guys. But if I get if I'm like drafting 205 and later, I find myself either getting Brown or wanting to get Brown and getting like sniped by 1 pick. And so, like I said, Brown would be higher for me if he wasn't taken all the time. I wish like he would fall. Like the other day, I was drafting first. And at like 211, he was there, and then he got taken at 211. I'm like, man, like 1 pick, it's 1 pick away. That would have been like Jamar Chase, AJ Brown start would have been awesome. So yeah. I mean, I love AJ Brown as well. There's no arguments there. My number 10, I have pictures here. My number 10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there we go. DeAndre Swift, former Philadelphia Eagle, now Chicago Bear. Now there was some question, like, would they bring in someone? They brought in some running backs for pre-draft visits. They didn't draft one until round 7. Kyle Monaghan, who I kind of like a little bit. We heard some positive news on him. I took him in the 20th round a couple times. But DeAndre Swift is going to be the primary back there. He was coached by Ben Johnson in Detroit, so he knows the system. He had a good year last year. He's not like an amazing player, but given what Chicago did with the offensive line, just really strengthening it, he's going to have a lot of running room, and he's going like 7th. He's been going like 8th. He was going 8th round like a month ago. He's now going like 7th round, maybe late 6th. So I'm not as interested late 6th, but if he's there in the 7th, I'm usually taking him. So what do you think about Swift?
I've got him at 3% ownership, so that's not a lot, obviously. Which means I think I drafted him in 1 league, I guess. Nice. I like Swift. I think he's a good player. I think he's kind of underrated to some extent. But I think he's just bunched up with a few other running backs. Where he's being selected as running back, there's just other guys I typically I think I trust more. So he's getting drafted around the same time as like James Conner is right ahead of him in ADP. Jalen Warden's right. It's like Isaiah Pacheco, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson. Like all those guys are being drafted kind of around the same spot he is, or within 10 picks or so. And I just inevitably, I think I trust those situations more.
Mhm.
But the fact that and I'm kind of low on Roschon Johnson, so you would think I'd be a big Swift fan because I think Johnson sucks. I'm way lower on him than most people. I just think I'm just not sure what to make of that situation. I don't know if Caleb Williams is good. Everyone tells me he's good. I know he's good at painting his fingernails. I don't know if he's good at playing football.
Did you wait, did you see the tweet about Caleb Williams?
No.
It was the other day. Some accounts were like, Caleb Williams was not interested in girls in the 7th grade. In fact, one girl called him. She said, "Call me, Caleb," and he said, "No, I have to train." And his dad had a tear in his eye, and I quote tweeted him like it was a sad day for Mr. Williams knowing that he would not have any grandchildren.
Like I don't know. Like he's Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, like all those guys are drafted around the same time. Is Caleb Williams good? Like I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not dogging him for making whatever. You want to paint your fingernails, go for it. Like I think it's weird. I think it's weird. I think it's weird and gay and effeminate, but that's fine. Like that's my opinion. You can do what you want, bro. I just don't know if he's good at football, and so I'm a little concerned of that Bears line. The thing is, I like Swift. I want to draft the rookie tight end, right? I want the Cole Kmet's still there. Like, I like some of the receivers. I like Odunze. I like DJ Moore. Like I like the players around them. I'm just hesitant to draft them because I don't know that he's any good. So I find myself over and over again passing on Bears players.
Makes sense. I mean, we saw what Ben Johnson did in Detroit, though, with the running backs especially. Now, Swift is no Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's going to have great blocking, like I said. And I'm not a big Caleb Williams fan either. But I like the coaching, I like the line, I like the talent around them. Like they should be able to score points against non-elite defenses. So I like Swift. I'm a Swiftie here in 2025.
Nice.
So who's your number 9?
My next, okay, I've got a multiple way tie. I've got a three-way tie here for number 9. I'm cheating. Okay. It's Matthew Stafford, Alvin Kamara, and Mr. One Taysom Hill. They're all 41% owned. I don't have a lot of leagues, a lot of teams where I have Kamara and Taysom Hill. Obviously, I don't want to cannibalize that. So there is some overlap on a few leagues, but a few teams, but very few. So between Kamara and Hill, it's like 75% of my teams have one of those two guys on it. So sort of ridiculous. But yeah, Alvin Kamara, man, he's awesome. His ADP is like 56. It's ridiculous. You can easily get him in the 4th, 5th. I've even seen him go like late 5th, early 6th. Although that's not happening now because his ADP has slipped up or has bumped up a little bit. He's still awesome. And so, if I go heavy receiver, which most leagues I'm going heavy receiver in DraftKings best ball format. So you go receiver, or if I go hero ball, if I get Barkley or Gibbs in the 1st round, and then, then I'm go receiver heavy, receiver. I go running back and then 3 receivers. Well, then I get to the 5th round and I need a running back. Joe Mixon or Alvin Kamara, almost one of those guys are almost always sitting there. And usually it's Kamara. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm ecstatic to get Kamara in that spot. And then Matthew Stafford, 41% owned. His ADP is like 140, 143, I think, or 142. I don't understand that at all. His Fantasy Pros consensus, he's like the 18th ranked fantasy quarterback. Like, what? You're telling me there's 17 quarterbacks you trust more than Matthew Stafford going into 2025? I think you're freaking insane.
Crazy.
To me, he's my 9th best fantasy quarterback. And I think in real life football, he's like the 6th or 7th best quarterback in the NFL still. Like, I don't think people realize he's really good. And so, yeah, I'm almost always getting him late. And that's sort of informing my my Tyler Higbee picks. I'm sure the same was with you because I'm just stacking them with Stafford. So in any league where I've got Stafford, I'm almost always getting Higbee in the last round.
Yeah, I'm drafting Tutu Atwell as well. So with Stafford, I have to ask you, are you concerned with the Alaric Jackson situation? I don't know if you heard. He has blood clots in his lungs, so he might be out for the year, which is a crushing blow because he's such a good left tackle. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's going to affect him, but I think I'll have question marks. And I don't know, in best ball, you're drafting Stafford, and I'm drafting him around 11, 12,
Right.
late 10th. He's usually my second quarterback, but there are a few times where he's been my first quarterback. There's a couple leagues where where I got Stafford and then drafted, Tua right after him, or JJ McCarthy, and then like Aaron Rodgers or Anthony Richardson. Like, I've got a couple leagues with a couple teams where Stafford's my number one, but usually my number two, and I feel fine. Even if their offensive line takes a step back, I mean, Matthew Stafford's put up great numbers with really bad teams in Detroit. I think he could do it in LA.
Yeah, he can for sure. This news broke like 2 days ago, and it's I was pretty upset to hear it because I made a lot of exacta bets on the Rams. Now they were free bets, so I guess I can't complain too much. But still, it's money that could have gone elsewhere. But I still think they can win the Super Bowl. It'll hurt them. I don't know how much it'll hurt them. Their backup's DJ Humphries, who was terrible last year, but maybe he'll improve. All right, so you gave 3 players, so I'll give 3 as well. My number 9 is Brock Purdy. So speaking of NFC West quarterbacks, and this is like kind of like you were saying, although in reverse. So you take Stafford, then you take Higbee. I'm usually taking some of his receivers, and then I'm taking Purdy as the stacking option. So I usually get him like round 10 or so. I don't often take him around 9. Like occasionally if there's like no one left, but I'll wait till like round 10 to get him, which I think is fine. If McCaffrey goes down again, like they're going to be throwing a lot, and you're going to have consolidated stacks because there aren't like too many options there. So Purdy is number 9, and then number.
By the way, I cheated. I've got 8 more names. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I had a 3-way tie for ninth place. I couldn't write that. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So I'll stop there. So all right. Well, who's your number 8? I guess.
My number 8 is Mark Andrews. Man, I got him in 44% of leagues. His ADP is 105. I have him as the 5th best tight end coming into fantasy, and I think there's a pretty big gap between the top 5 and the rest of the field of the tight ends. I think there's I guess there's a top 6 really. Okay, so 6, and I got Laporta at 6, and then I've got a pretty big gap between the top 6 and the rest. But all the other guys are being drafted in McBride and Bowers, obviously, they're getting drafted in the top 20, top 25 picks. Bowers is a top 16 pick. McBride's a top 25 pick. And then you got the next, 3 guys that I have ranked. They're all being drafted in the top 70, or top 65 picks. Meanwhile, Mark Andrews is outside the top 100. And I don't know. I look at Mark Andrews. I think he's just as good as George Kittle, or he's really close to. I think he's very similar in a lot of ways. I think he's close to him. I trust that system. And I think I like Andrews more than I like Laporta. I think I trust him more. So Laporta's ADP is like 48 or something like that. I'm like, I can get Andrews outside the top 100. So it just seems like I get to round 10 or 11. If I don't have a tight end, which I rarely do at that point, I just keep drafting Andrews. And so there's been 1 league where I drafted McBride. 2, I've got McBride in 2 leagues, and I've got a bunch of Andrews. And then like my next most owned tight end is guys I'm drafting in like rounds 14 and 15. So if I don't get Andrews around 10 or 11, I'm just punting the position usually.
Mark Andrews is my 4th most tight end, or 4th most exposed tight end at 17%. So I like him as well. But I have so much Higbee that it kind of like diminishes it a little bit. I've spoken about Andrews a lot. Like I think that given how bad he was in that Bills game in the divisional round of the playoffs, like he has to be like waking up every morning and be like, I'm working my butt off this offseason to get better. And he's not 30 yet. He's 29. So he's still young. So I think he can have a bounce back year. Maybe play on a high level for like 3 more years until he starts declining. So yeah. I like Andrews quite a bit. I had the wrong image, by the way. This is Brock Purdy, number 9. And I say I had the wrong image because my number 8 is Ricky Pearsall. This is Ricky Pearsall. So he's owned in 29% of leagues. Ricky Pearsall was my number 1 sleeper last year until he got shot. But he came back at the end of the season, and he looked great for like, albeit in a brief span. But I liked him coming out of college. I think he's super talented. And given that Deebo Samuel's gone and Brandon Ives coming off a torn ACL, I think the number one is going to be Jawan Jennings, but Pearsall could be the number one as well. We don't know yet. It's still like a fluid situation. So a number one receiver in a good offense. And by the way, the Niners have the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life. I've been covering the NFL since 1999, since we were sitting next to each other in Mr. Rosen's, what was it, internet class? I feel like that's what it's called. And like we would always debate. It was always a lot of fun, and that's where I started my website. I've never seen such an easy schedule in my life, and I know that like predicting schedules can be like hit or miss, but they have they play none of the elite teams that we believe to be elite. Their toughest game is at Houston, not counting the 2 Rams games in the division. Like it's such an easy schedule. So if we're right, like they're gonna be able to load up fantasy points. So I'm drafting a lot of 49ers. So what are your thoughts on Pearsall, Purdy, the other Niners?
Okay, interesting. I've got Pearsall in 23% of my leagues, so he's not my top 15, but 23% is it's 8 out of 35 leagues.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant. But I guess I'll just that'll just roll us right into my next one, because my next guy I own in 44% of leagues, 16 out of 35, is Mr. Jawan Jennings. And so, yeah, I think obviously between Pearsall and Jennings, I have them both on one team where I've got Brock Purdy. I got a stack, Pearsall and Jennings. But other than that, I have them on separate teams. So between the two of them, I mean, 23 and 44%, they represent 67% of my teams. So obviously, yeah, I'm believing in these guys. I think they're talented. I like the system. As long as everyone stays healthy, this team should be very competitive. And if they don't stay healthy, then maybe they'll just become throw the ball around, Blake Bortles style, trying to catch up. And if they're not healthy, then maybe all bets are off. But yeah, I like this team. I don't love them, but I like them.
Yeah, I think given how easy the schedule is, it's going to be difficult to imagine that they're not going to make the playoffs. Now, again, like they could have like a million injuries like they had last year, which could hurt them. But the variance has to swing the other way, and I feel like they're going to be scoring a lot of points. So we're on the same page there. We're not too far apart. What did you say? 23% for Pearsall?
Yeah.
I have him in 29%. So we're only 6% apart.
Is Jennings on your list?
Yes, he is.
So I mean, I have him in 44%. I don't think people realize how good Jennings is. Like, I think he's a very good NFL receiver. And I think people are sleeping on him. Like, just at least it seems to me. I even wonder 44%. I feel like there are probably moments I should have drafted him when I didn't.
He was going 7th round like a month and a half ago, and he's going 6th now. So his ADP has risen a little bit, but still, I think it's really good value. Whenever it gets to the 6th round and Jennings is there, I just like scoop him up. So we'll see where he is in my top 10. But my number 7 is JJ McCarthy. Now we haven't seen him play, but last year at this time, well, maybe not at this time, like 2 months from now to last year, we thought when he got hurt, Sam Darnold took over. We're like, oh God, Minnesota's gonna be terrible. They had one of the lowest win total over-unders in the NFL. And they ended up winning 14 games because we saw what the coaching staff and the receivers did for Sam Darnold. And J.J. McCarthy is Kevin O'Connell's handpicked guy. Kevin O'Connell knows the thing about offense. He's going to have one of the best offensive lines in front of him. He's going to have one of the 2 best receivers, or 2 or 3 best receivers at his disposal in Justin Jefferson. He's going to have one of the best number 2 receivers in Jordan Addison. And he's going to have one of the best tight ends in TJ Hawkinson. Plus a strong running game. This guy's going to have everything at his disposal, and he has the rushing upside too. He's not going to be like Lamar Jackson scrambling, but he's going to be able to run in some touchdowns. And when he's there in like the 11th round, I just scoop him up like without a second thought. So what are your thoughts on McCarthy here? He's by the way, he's in what's his percentage owned? He is in also 29% of my teams.
I have him in 12%. I like him. He's just being drafted consistently around guys that I just think I trust I trust more.
Yeah.
So his ADP is 119. Around that spot. I'd rather just wait for Trevor Lawrence at 130 or Tua or Stafford at 140, 140. Bo Nix and Drake May. No, Nix is more like 95. Drake May is in that area. I think I wouldn't crap on JJ. I think there are other guys that I wonder I trust a little more. The exception is I've gotten Justin Jefferson a few times, and whenever I got Jefferson, I've gone out of my way to get McCarthy.
Yeah, it makes sense. And look, I mean, it's only natural to trust those guys because we haven't seen McCarthy play in the NFL. So if we had seen him play, like that might be a little different. But he's an unknown. But I'm going to trust Kevin O'Connell, and I'm going to trust the entire Minnesota staff or personnel that they have there. Just really a big fan. All right, so who is your number 6?
My number 6 is Jalen Noel. Rookie receiver from the Houston Texans. I have it 44%. Is it Jalen Noel? Am I pronouncing his name right?
It's Noel.
Oh, okay. Listen, I've never seen this guy play.
It should be Noel.
I've never seen this guy play a down of football. I don't know anything about him. I know three data points. Number one, the existing guys on the Texans roster all are just guys I don't trust, except Nico Collins, obviously. But Tank Dell, I don't have confidence he's going to play it all this year. And if he does play at the end of the year, I can't imagine he's going to, this is a lost season for him. Yeah. Christian Kirk. Listen, I've been the biggest Christian Kirk fanboy for, the last 5 years. I'm just not convinced that he's going to be good. I think he's washed. And so, he's going to, and then they signed some guys that were there. They all suck. They drafted 2 guys, like this Higgins and Knoll. I don't know if either one of these guys are good. But I know that Higgins ADP is like hella early and Knowles is hecka late. Knowles is he's like 17th round pick. Meanwhile, Higgins is where's he's at? I should have had this here.
It's like round 9, around 10 or so, something like that.
I'm like, okay, a rookie, like an offense that I'm not sure about what's going to be like. How they're going to pass the ball around. Am I really want to spend a 9th round pick on a 2nd round rookie? Or am I willing to take a flyer on a 17th round pick? I'll take my chance. There has to be a second receiver there to some extent. Maybe it's going to end up being the tight end. I own a bunch of Schultz. So, but I think that then there are 2 guys that I trust a lot. Andy Behrens, who runs the YouTube channel, Establish the Run. He's hit on a lot of rookies over the years. And Brett Coleman, who is I can't remember the name of his YouTube channel, but both of those guys think that Knowles better than Higgins, or at least equal. And so I'm like, well, if they're equal, then I'll take my chance on the 17th round pick. And so every time I get to the 17th round, he's sitting there, and I end up, I've taken him in 44% of my leagues. So, which is, what does that amount to be? I don't even know exactly how many that is. Whatever 44% of 35 is.
That's probably 15 or so. Yeah. Look, I mean, he needs Christian Kirk to get hurt, or he needs to beat him out in training camp, which could easily happen because they're both going to play the slot. But look, Kirk's injury history is rather extensive, so you'd have to imagine that he's going to get hurt at some point. All right, so that was your number 6, right? Yep. Yeah, that was your number 6. My number 6 is Isaiah Pacheco. I own him in 31% of leagues. You actually brought him up earlier. When I mentioned DeAndre Swift, you're like, oh, Pacheco's there. Well, Pacheco is on my team a lot too. Pacheco was pretty bad last year when he came back from injury. He started well, but when he returned from injury, he was pretty brutal. And I think that's what people remember. Like, people tend to remember the last thing they saw, which is why Cam Scatabo is getting drafted like 7th to 9th round, is because they saw him in that Texas-Arizona State game. It's like the opposite for Pacheco. Like, he was bad down the stretch, and I think that. I expect him to rebound. Like, there's really no reason to think that he's not going to rebound. Like, we saw him play at a high level before the injury, and he was great for the Chiefs. And so to get a starting running back on a team with a good offense in the 7th or 8th round sometimes, just sign me up. Like, that's why I'm like, draft receiver early, because guys like Pacheco is going to be there in the 8th. You get Aaron Jones in the 7th. You can get DeAndre Swift in the 7th. You mentioned James Conner, he like 6th round or so. There are a bunch of running backs you can take around 6 through 8 So this is why I liked receiver early, and then these running backs. So Pacheco is pretty high up on my list. Where do you have Pacheco?
I have him. I have him in 18% of my leagues.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like him a lot. I think it just has to do with it just seems like whenever I get to the point of the draft where he's getting taken, typically he's just typically doesn't fit my like what my strategy. Like when like in the moments where I'm going receiver heavy on the front end and I need running backs, like that's typically I'm drafting like late first in that scenario. And so like, when he's being drafted in round 7, I'm like late 7th, and like usually I like someone else there. Like I kind of prefer him in the 8th, but by the time I get him in the 8th, he's usually gone. So like,
yeah,
I like Pacheco. It just feels like, I'm surprised I've only ended up at 18%, but it just seems like the chips never fall in a place where like it makes sense for him to be my guy.
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess I like him a little bit more, but he was going 8th round about a month and a half ago, and now he's going 7th, more so than 8th. But sometimes I still get him in the 8th. And for me, like I'd rather have Swift and Jones, but it's pretty close. Sue's saying talented cancer survivor John Mechie surprises for the Texans. Yeah, like he always is great in the preseason. If you're doing preseason DraftKings, like put Mechie in your lineups. But like I don't know, for some reason, it just never translated, and it's a shame because he was so good for Alabama. He never recovered from cancer. Anyway, so who is your number 5?
My number 5 guy is Mr. Joe Mixon. Speaking of Texans, Joe Mixon, I own him in 40%, 47% of leagues. His ADP is 51, I believe, or 49, something like that. So I mean, I can almost get him in the 4th round. I've even seen him in the 5th. I just think that's highway robbery. I mean, I just laugh all the way to the bank. This guy, Mixon, looked good every bit of the season last year. He looked really good down the stretch. He looked good in the playoff game. He pretty much carried that offense. I don't know what to make of the offense, but even when they were inconsistent last year, he still performed. Unless you think he's going to be injured or lose a step, I don't understand this. I think he's better than most of the receivers being drafted around him or slightly before him. I would, in almost every scenario, going to take him ahead of the quarterbacks. Going to take him ahead of most of the tight ends. I'm taking him ahead of most of the receivers that are being drafted in the late 2nd and into the 3rd. Yeah, I think he's better than all those guys. Getting him in the 4th or 5th feels like just a steal, and I love it.
So I thought he would be higher for me. He's only 9% in my drafts, and I love Mixon, and I don't like. I find myself wondering, like, I just never get him. I guess I don't know. Like you said, you get him sometimes in the 5th round. It feels like whenever I'm drafting in the 4th, he's gone. Like I always find myself like starting Mixon, and then he's just gone before I get to pick. Like for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's just bad luck for me. But I never get him. He's never available for me. So maybe it's because like I told you before, like I never draft at the end. I'm always drafting like at the beginning. So I guess like late 4th, he's always gone. But I consider the 4th round just a dead zone. I just like Mixon's like one of the few guys I like in the 4th round. But I never seem to get him. So we always like just go for a quarterback or George Kittle instead, which I don't really want to do. It's just like I don't really like anyone else in the 4th round. So
there's almost always receivers that I like though too. Like if I've gone running back heavy early on, like a Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. I'm willing to go those guys there.
Yeah, I don't like those guys at all. I think like Devontae Smith, like he just doesn't do anything with Browns on the field. And then Waddle is to quote Butters, he's a pyramid scheme. Like he like has 2 good games all year and then just doesn't do anything. And part of that is because Miami's offensive line is so bad.
You say Devontae Smith doesn't do anything while Brown's on the field. You don't want me to bring up the stats, do you? Come on. We'll bring that later.
Well, like what did he do? That's I'm kind of curious now.
He was the Eagles' leading receiver last year. How about that?
Yeah, well, AJ Brown was out for several games.
Yeah. Okay, we'll pull up we should bet. We should bet. Should make a bet on this one right here.
Well, I could just pull it up and see, where maybe I'm misremembering. I don't know. I don't remember him doing much. when AJ Brown was on the field. Like he has like some very ugly games when Brown plays. I don't know.
I don't have his game. I don't have his. I mean, we can. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with Devontae Smith as as one of my receivers. I mean, I don't want him as my number one guy. If I can avoid that, but doesn't Pro Football Reference have like a game by game? I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So first of all, that Dallas game at the end, I put him in a captain because he dropped that ball against the Redskins the week before to lose the game. So I put him captain. I played so much Devontae Smith that week just because I thought he'd bounce back. Outside of that game, do you know how many 100-yard games he had last year?
How many touchdowns he scored? How many catches is he getting?
Outside of that game, he had 62 catches.
Well, he also missed 1, 2, 3.5 games.
He missed 3 games, yeah.
4.5 games.
4.5. Well, I mean, he was inactive for 3 games.
1, 2, 3. He was inactive for 4, and you missed half the game.
I'm not counting week 18. So yeah. Well, you're looking at like I'm asking.
I mean, his receptions. 7 for 80, 7 for 80, 7 for 79.
Well, those are the games Brown didn't play. So like let's look at the games that Brown did play.
He's got 3 for 60 and a touchdown, and then he got hurt in the Giants game. So then the next he comes back 6 for 85 and a touchdown. Brown's 4 for 87 and a touchdown. 2 for 14. That's a clunker. 4 for 29. Okay, that's a clunker. But then he got hurt in that game, so then he misses 2 games. Comes back. Brown's in this game 4 for 37 and a touch, 11 for 109 and a touch, 6 for 51 no touch, and then 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Like,
yeah,
those are pretty solid for a potential 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he needs Brown to like meet his potential. I don't know. I have taken him like a couple of times. I'd rather just go somewhere else. I don't know. In 2023, how many 100-yard games did he have? Not many.
Let me see. I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking at I don't remember what games AJ Brown missed, but it was toward the end of the year, right? But
yeah,
7 for 47 and a touchdown. 4 for 130 and a touchdown. And then he's got a clunker here against Tampa, 4 for 28, 7 for 78. Then another clunker with the Rams. Did he get injured in that game? 1 for 6 yards. That seems like that's a disaster. 5 for 40, disaster. 4 for 40, disaster. Okay. 7 for 99 and a touchdown, 51 yards and a touchdown, 99 yards, 106, 96, 73. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
This looks like late 5th round guy to me, like not 4th round.
I think it's what years on.
Anyway. It's. I mean, when you're that close to the top, it matters. I don't know. I'd rather have someone with just way more potential. Like, would you rather have that, or would you rather have one of the top 3 or one of the top 5 quarterbacks, or George Kittle?
Well, definitely not George Kittle, because I think I can get 95% of George Kittle 8 rounds later. So
I don't know. He might have like a Travis Kelce type season this year with no Debo, no Ayuk. I don't know. Travis Kelce circa 2023, right, or 2022, whatever that 1 year was that Kelce was insane.
Yeah.
I think Kittle could have
that. I think he's great, but the differences between the second tier tight ends and the 5th tier tight ends is almost so negligible. But Bowers and McBride, I think, in PPR make a huge difference because of the type of guys they are, in terms of just being target hogs. I don't see the Niners doing that.
I think I have Kittle ahead of McBride. Let me see. No, I don't. No, I don't. I've Kittle in PPR of him 18 points behind McBride, which is pretty close. But I have McBride 48 points behind Bowers. So I don't know why they're both going in the 2nd round. Like McBride should be going like late 3rd, and Kittle should be going like late 4th.
I don't do projections of players because I think, no offense, I think it's a total waste of time. But so I just they're all always all wrong. So like, I think it's useless. To me, I just do them like subjective tiers. To me, it's Bowers and McBride. They're the top two. Then I think there's a gap. I think it's Kittle, Andrews, Laporta, those five, and then I think there's a gap. And then we get to Hawkinson and Kelsey and Loveland and Warren and Kincaid and Jonnu Smith and Dallas Goedert. And I think you can shake them up in a bag and pick whichever one you want. And they're all the same to me.
I like how you're like, well, your job's a waste of time. Whatever you do is a waste of time.
I think assessing players is not a waste of time. Just like the projections, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't do projections. I feels like not helpful. I don't know. I don't use projections.
So for me, I would Bowers would be the only one in tier one. He's like tier S, and then for me, I think I'd have McBride and Kittle in the same tier. I have those two closer to each other than Kittle is to the next guy. So I would put them in the same range. Like McBride a little bit earlier in PPR, Kittle earlier in standard, and I don't know, half PPR probably about even. Anyway, where are we?
Have reservation here. Sorry.
Yeah. Where so we got to this conversation because I said like I just didn't know who to take in the 4th round or 5th round, but I don't know why we started talking about that. Were you?
I had just said Mixon 47%. He was my number 4.
Oh yeah, he's number 4. Okay. He's your number 4, number 5, or number 5?
He was my number 4, I think.
Really? Why are we off kilter here? Because I have 5 more left.
No, I don't know. He was number 4. Though. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, he's number 5. I'm wrong. He's my number 5. Sorry, I'm a double.
All right. We can get. All right. Fine. All right. So my number 5, and we had a question from Mr. Magic. Who are your most drafted players each position? This is going to be my quarterback, my highest owned quarterback. You mentioned him, Sir Matthew Stafford. Sir Stafford here. He's for all the reasons you mentioned. I do worry a little bit about Alec Jackson's blood clots. He's such a good lineman, and that's kind of like why one of the reasons why I put the Rams on all those exactas. But still, like he's going to have Nacua and Devontae Adams, and outside of left tackle, really good offensive line, good running game. Sean McVay, great coach. Like granted, he's getting older, as we all are, but he's inching closer to 40, and I think that he can still have 1 or 2 good years. So and we don't have to delve too much into this because you already talked about it. But yeah, Stafford for me is my number 5 guy at 33%.
Yeah, I am at 41%. So I feel like my rankings are top. My list is more top heavy than yours. Yeah,
I probably have done more variety. Like a classic example, like you said, you take Brown at the turn, and I'm like, okay, I usually don't get Thomas or Collins. Let me get them here, and then I'll like in other drafts I'll get Brown. So I think that's like I'm more spread out. I think, except for Tyler Higbee.
Yeah. Stafford is my number one owned quarterback at 41%.
Okay.
My next list is a disaster. Anthony Richardson, just because I keep drafting him so late, he's my 3rd quarterback in a bunch of leagues. Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Tua, and then Mahomes. That's my top 6.
For quarterbacks, my top 6 are Stafford 33%, Purdy McCarthy 29%, Purdy 29%, Stroud 24%, Justin Herbert 24%, and Cameron Ward 22%. And then by the way, I have Jalen Hurts at 19%, which is pretty high for a guy going early.
Yeah, I got Hurts in 1 league.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm. For me, I like you talk about tiers. I think that there's tier 1, Allen and Jackson, tier 2, Daniels, Hurts, and Burrow, and I think there's a huge gap after that, like not even close. And so to me, I'm like, if I can get a value, like if Hurts falls around 5, just snap him up. Like same with Burrow, just take him. Same with Daniels, and then if for Allen and Jackson, it's like late round 3. I just think that there's just a big gap between those guys and the others.
Yeah, I guess I don't ever in PPR in particular. I don't see a lot of. I don't feel the need to reach the. I've gotten Josh Allen in 2 leagues, and I've gotten Jalen Hurts in 1 league in 35 drafts. But that was because I kind of went in just intention. I'll do this because I'm doing so many doing so many drafts, as you said. Well, might get to 100 by August or more. Easily
Yeah.
get to 100 probably. By that point, it's kind of like, for me, it's like, well, I just want to intentionally do different lineups frameworks.
Right.
And so I've gone into drafts saying, okay, in this draft, I'm going to intentionally, particularly if I'm drafting late in the first round, it's conducive to go early quarterback or early tight end. And so I may say, okay, I'm going to intentionally go early quarterback. If I'm drafting late in the first, that means I'm drafting, late in the fifth. And, in that case, if Burrow was on the board, or if Hurts is still on the board, or Jackson, if any of those guys are still on the board, which it's rare, but if they are, then I'm gonna do that. So I think that's kind of a situation where so it's worked out 3 times in 35 drafts.
Yeah, for me, I have Josh Allen 9%, Joe Burrow 10%, Jane Daniels 2%, Lamar Jackson 2%, and then, like I said, Jalen Hurts 19%. Like, he's just going a little bit later than those other 4. And by the way, I have more Geno Smith and Sam Darnold than Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes is my lowest owned quarterback at 2%.
He just is going so late. Sometimes I'm like, there are times I'm like, I don't want to draft the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I get to round 8 and he's still there. I'm just like, I just feel obligated. Like, oh gosh, like, okay.
I've only seen him go round 8 a couple of times, and even then, I passed on him. I don't know. It's not there for fantasy. I just don't get it. I don't know what happened. Tyreek Hill being gone, I guess, changed everything.
I've drafted him in 9 leagues in 35 drafts, 9 teams, and I've drafted him in the 7th round, probably 7 out of those 9 times. I think once in the 8th and once in the 9th. I was drafting. I had the number 1 overall pick, went Barkley, I'm at the top of the 9th round, and Mahomes is still sitting there, and I'm just like, I just feel like, this is dumb. I got to take him. So
I think I would take him in the 9th. 8th is shaky, but yeah.
I mean, I had the turn, bottom of the 8th, top of the 9th. I'm
right.
The top of the 7th. I considered him like, nah, it's too early. I'm not going to take a quarterback. And then he just keeps going. I'm just like, at that point, I feel like, oh well, I guess just go for it.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, who is your number 4?
All right, my number 4 is Mr. Deontay Wicks. Is that his name? Deontay? Did I pronounce his name right?
So yeah. Now you have me questions. Devontae Wicks. Yeah.
Devontae Wicks. I have him in 47% of leagues. I just think he's a decent player. He's not an amazing player.
Dontavian Wicks. You messed me up with Dontae Wicks. I was like, wait a second, this is his team, right? It's Dontavian Wicks. Yeah.
I just we saw with the Packers last year, when Jordan Love is hitting all cylinders, when he's playing really well and he's healthy, his style of game is spread the ball around to all his receivers. I mean, there were a couple of games where I think he hit 10 different receivers in a game. That's kind of his flavor. He's like the anti Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts is like just locks in on 2 or 3 guys every game. Just
right.
And so Jordan Love very much is spread the ball around, use the whole field. The screen game, the receiver bubble, bubble screens. So they throw the ball around a lot to a lot of different guys, and so I think their receivers are great for best ball, terrible for typical fantasy, for traditional fantasy, because you never know when they're going to go off. So I never want them in my lineup. I hate Jalen Reed. I hate Wicks for that reason. But in best ball, I love having Packers players on my team, and so I've got a little bit of Jalen Reed, a little bit of Romeo Doubs, but I got a lot of Wicks. I got him in 47%, mostly because his ADP is so dang. His ADP is like 204.
Yeah.
And I get to the end of the draft. I'm just like, if I need a 7th or 8th receiver, I'm like, what the heck? Why not Wicks? And so, but he's not just a throwaway player. Like you talk about, just guys who randomly take at the end of the like, I actually think he's a good player, not an amazing player. He's not elite, but he's a good player who's going to put up some points. He's not going to put up what Reed's going to put up, certainly, but he's going to have a few big weeks, which we've seen, we saw last year. And so, yeah, I actually think he's a great investment, late in the draft.
I think every time I've drafted him was with Butters, who's when he's on the show, because Butters is a Packer fan. So when we get to the late rounds, he's like, take Dontavian Wicks. I'm like, okay. I'm having trouble finding him. Let me see. I have Wicks in 9%, so I guess I've done 9% of my leagues with Butters. Most I think most of those I think were before the draft though, because then they took Matthew Golden in the first round. I have Matthew Golden in 5% of drafts. I don't know where you come in on him, but he has a lot of upside. And then as for Jaden Reed, I have him in 3%. Jaden Reed, I've said this before, he was going second round last year after week 1 because he had that big week 1 against the Eagles. He had like 34 DK points, and the overreactions. I can't wait until week 2 onward for best ball. We're gonna have to do a live draft for that. We're gonna see insane overreactions. Like Joe Schmo is gonna have like a great game of week 1, and then he's gonna go like 3rd round, and we're like, what? He's not even being drafted like in the summer. So that's like an easy fade, and like that person who drafts is just paying the rake for us. So look, I can't wait for that. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see who's overreacted. But I mean, look, I think the Packer receivers are going like where they should. I don't think any of them is going too early. I don't think any of them is going too late. But you didn't mention Golden. Do you have Golden at all?
I don't have him in a single league because I've never seen him. You know, he's a rookie. Maybe he's going to be good, but the guys that I watch and I follow that cover rookies, none of them seem to think he's super special.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he'll be great, or maybe he'll just be a struggling rookie receiver like we've seen over and over again many times.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that the Packers, I don't know that they're going to change theirs. I don't think Jordan Love is going to change his style of quarterbacking, even if Golden is great out of the gate. And so, Golden out of the gate. That's kind of funny.
Golden Gates.
That's right. He likes to throw the ball around a lot. And so I think that means Wicks is going to have some big weeks. Maybe it also means that Wicks will have a bunch of 0 weeks, right? Like, maybe they'll be like goose eggs. But in best ball, that's fine. So I don't know what to think of Golden. So I'm just basically pretending he's not there.
Yeah. Golden Gates, by the way, is a shady Russian club around my neighborhood. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's some of the weirdos hang out there. I mean, look, like sometimes you can have like parties there and whatnot, and it can be nice, but sometimes there are some shady individuals there. Anyway, I think that Golden just replaces Christian Watson. I agree. Like they're still going to spread it around. And Golden's fast. It's the one thing you can do is run fast, but I don't know if that's going to be good enough. All right, so that was your number 4, Dontavian Wicks. And my number 4 is Jalen Wright. I have Jalen Wright in 36% of leagues. I love Jalen Wright. First of all, I think he's a great talent. I think he fits the running system that they have there very well. My only concern is the run blocking, which, the offensive line stinks. They did sign James Daniels, so they should be better in the interior, though they lost Terran Armstead. And my main selling point here is that Devon Achane is so brittle. I think he's going to get injured. He's going to miss at least some games. I don't know if it's going to be like half the season or anything. He misses 4 or 5 games. Jalen Wright is going to have big performances. And there's no Raheem Mostert this time. So this is going to be the Jalen Wright show on his own. When he takes over for an injured Achane. So sign me up for Jalen Wright. I like him a lot. Whenever I get to like round 14, he's usually my target. So do you have any Jalen Wright?
I have a little bit, only in 2 or 3 leagues. I actually surprised, though, because I actually think he's a good talent as well. Everything you said, I totally agree with. He just ends up not being on my radar a lot. And I don't know the reason why. Kind of what you said earlier with Joe Mixon, kind of like, just the way things fall. It never seems to be there when I want to take him. And Wright seems to never be there when I want to take him.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Bless you. Even though you muted yourself.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my mute button these days.
Nice. All right. Who's your number 3?
All right. My number 3 right here. This is going to be no surprise to anyone who has listened to me in the past, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. But Mr. Warren from the great city of Pittsburgh with an H. Jalen Warren. I've been the biggest Jalen Warren president. I've been the president of the fan club for several years. I have him in 50% of my leagues, 50% of my teams here. I think he's an excellent player. He's a great talent. I love that he fits the system. He has been splitting time with Mr. The epitome of mediocre, Mr. Najee Harris. He's gone now. I know they drafted the rookie there, Campbell or whatever his name is,
Caleb Johnson.
Yeah. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. I don't know. I just know Warren's great, and his ADP is like low, is like between 85 and 89, something like that. I just think is ridiculously low. So particularly because I've gone so in any league where in any draft where I'm going a heavy receiver early in the draft, and I'm really thin at receiver, really thin at running back. Warren is on every single one of those drafts pretty much because he's one of the guys you get to that a section of the draft of guys who do I really trust here, to be my second running back. It's usually Mixon or Kamara is my number one, and then I'm looking at a barrage of guys: Isaiah Pacheco, Swift, or Aaron Jones. Warren is in that mix. Tracy's in that mix. Tony Pollard. All those guys are kind of bunched up together.
Yeah.
Warren is clearly, in my opinion, the most talented of the bunch. He's the guy I trust the most in that bunch. And so, when I'm looking for a high floor type guy, maybe doesn't have the upside because of the system and because of sharing the backfield, but I trust him quite a bit. And sometimes he'll drop. When I've not gone receiver heavy early, and I have 2 or 3 running backs, I get to that point of the draft and I kind of look over. I just kind of skip them because I'm looking at other positions. There are times where I've seen him drop, out of the top 100, drop into the 10th rank, late 9th. And I'm just like, I think he's too good. The value's too high. And so, that's how you end up with a guy 50% of your leagues there.
Makes sense. I have him in 5% of leagues. Not that like I hate him. I just think that I think Caleb Johnson's so good that he might see the field. Like he's not Najee Harris. I think that he's a much better runner. He's not like an elite athlete, but just like his talent as a runner, I think is just so good that he might take over late in the year. I do like Warren, but he has an injury history. And I think what's happening for me is that I'm usually taking Swift or Pacheco or Aaron Jones. And then it's like the next round, and I'm like, okay, I don't need a running back at this point because I only want like 2 running backs before like round 11. Just because I love the running backs in rounds 11 through 15. So it's basically double hero running back for me. I just never get Warren, but I have taken him. I'm taking him 5%, so I'm not like super opposed to him.
Right.
Okay, so that was your number 3. My number 3 is you mentioned him, Jauan Jennings. So we don't have to rehash this. Jauan Jennings is owned for me in 41% of leagues, and he's my highest exposed receiver to answer Mr. Magic's question. So 41% of leagues, Jauan Jennings. I love Jauan Jennings. I agree with everything you said. He's spectacular. He was so good in those games that they were missing all their guys. I think this percentage might drop a little bit now that he's going 6th round instead of 7th. Like 7th round, I was scooping him up every time. 6th round, I think is probably close to right to him. I think he should probably be going like 5th round, but I usually if I'm drafting middle 6, usually it doesn't fall to me. So that's why it's like 41%. But so we agree on this one for sure.
Nice.
Okay, who's your number 2?
My number 2 guy, I own him he's in 50% of my drafts. He's a running back. His ADP is 158, which is just absolutely freaking ridiculous. I call him Mr. Cartavius. He's also known as Tank. That is Tank Bigsby. This guy's a really good running back. He's a really good player. He's clearly the best talent on the team. Now, I don't know if the rookie is good or not. I cited Andy Behrens earlier from Established Run YouTube channel. He really likes the rookie there. Is it Tutton or Tootin?
Bashal Tootin.
Bashal Tootin. But Behrens said, hey, he thinks he also agrees that Bigsby. So I watched him play. I go, this guy's a really good running back. He's clearly better than Etienne. And every time last year when he became in games where he was the full-time running back, their offense was significantly better. I just can imagine with a better offensive staff coming in, that they're going to watch the film and see what if a schmuck like me can see it, certainly they can see that Etienne sucks and Bigsby was their better running back. I don't know what I don't know how good the rookie is, and I don't know how that's going to impact him. So I understand why Bigsby is being drafted so late, but 158. I mean, it's absurd. round 12, round 13. In round 13, he's there often. He's kind of my pretty much shoe-in pick in round 13 almost every time. Round 14, he's been there a couple times. So that's how you do. I got the 35 drafts, and he's, I got him in 18 leagues, 18 teams.
Nice. He is. I'm 16% of leagues, so I do like him. I like some of the other guys more. We're going to get to one of them shortly. I think that's why I don't have him as much as you do. Just because I like another guy more in that range. But if that guy didn't exist, then I would have a lot more Tank Bigsby. He's definitely a better runner than ATN for sure. Tootin is an explosive player. So here's the one negative about Bigsby is that he is part of the old regime, and Tootin was drafted by this new regime. So that might give Tootin an edge. But I don't think there's any question that Bigsby is better than ETN. And I suspect that ATN is going to be traded at some point. So that'll definitely raise Bigsby ADP. So you could be getting in at great value here, and at my 16% as well. Just because if ATN's traded, I think Bigsby goes to round 8 or round 9 suddenly. You're getting a good value in round 13, round 14.
Yeah, I don't have ATN in one draft. I don't have it all because I just like he's never there when I'm willing to draft him around 19. Yeah. And he's never his ADP is round 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
I'm never touching him there.
I have 0% ATN as well. We're on the same page there. Hold on, I want to see if I have any Tootin. I have no Tootin either.
I have a little bit. I think I have him in 2 or 3 leagues.
Okay, I thought I drafted him. Apparently not. 0% for me. But yeah, 16% Bigsby, as I said. Okay, my number 2, and I just teased this. The guy in the same range, Tyler Algier. Now, if we talked about if ATN is gone, where does Bigsby go? Probably round 8, round 9, maybe round 7. If Bijan goes down tomorrow, Algier is going round 2, round 3. This guy has produced in the past. In his rookie, he had 1,200 rushing yards. He produces when Bijan plays. He sometimes gets goal line carries. So he doesn't really even need Bijan to go down. Last year, I had Algier in a bunch of leagues, and sometimes he made my lineup because he had two touchdowns in a game. So he's using the goal line, and he has immense upside because all it takes is Bijan to get hurt, and he's going to be a rock star for me. So I like these guys. Shipley, Jalen Wright, Bigsby as well. A guy didn't make the list, Braylon Allen, Ray Davis to talk about, as I mentioned, and then here Algier. Justice Hill, I think, belongs there as well, although Keaton Mitchell might beat him out. No, I think Algier is the one of the top 2 here for me as far as mid-round running backs that I'm interested in. Do you like Algier?
Yeah, I like Algier. I agree with everything you said. I think you and I are just inverse, where I get to that point in the draft. I think Algier's ADP is 163. Bigsby's 158. Mm-hmm. So I get to that point of the draft, and I'm there's 3 or 4 guys that I like, and I'm just almost always going Bigsby. I do have Algier in 13% of my leagues, my drafts, and so I just like Bigsby a little bit more than I like Algier. If that were to tip, if I'd liked Algier a little bit more, then my numbers would probably swap, right? I'd probably have Algier in 50% and have have Bigsby in 13%. But I think they're close.
I was just about to say this is great for a real draft. That'll be who knows when our commissioner is going to get that together. It'll be nice that you can get your guy, I can get my guy, but then I remember that half the league uses my rankings, and so I will never get any guys I like. By the way, I have Algier in 53% of leagues, so he's clearly above the 50% line. So I only have 2 guys. Excluding Higbee, who are above 50%. He's one of them. All right. So who is your number 1 player?
My number 1 guy is I own him in 53% of my leagues, of my drafts. I actually have a guy that I own 59%, but he's a throwaway guy at the end. Not throwaway, but Keaton Mitchell. You mentioned him. So yeah. I actually forgot to mention him. I actually own Keaton Mitchell in 59% of my drafts. I'm just drafting him at the end of the draft, round 19, round 20.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a perfect best ball player. He's the third running back on the depth chart with Baltimore. He's just a lightning athlete, phenomenal athlete, super fast, but he may never see the field. He may get very few touches, but he may get one or two games where he scores 2 touchdowns and he goes the distance, right? So he's a perfect best ball kind of player to have at the back end of your roster.
I agree. Yeah.
So I've got Keaton Mitchell actually in 59% of but he's, that's toward the end of the draft. It's not a guy I'm actually relying on necessarily. Mm-hmm. My real number one guy, 53% of my leagues, Mr. Jackson Smith and Jigba fan club. He's my new guy. I think he's awesome. I think I watch this guy play and just think he is the real deal. I think with Metcalf gone, he's going to be the center of the passing offense. Darnold's got a noodle arm. He's not exactly the great running quarterback, but we've seen he's efficient. He's a smart decision maker. And we just saw Justin Jefferson be able to produce great fantasy numbers with Darnold. So I'm not concerned about that. And Jigba's a great, he's an all around great receiver. He does everything really well. There's not one thing he does A+, but he does everything A-. And so I really like him. I actually have him as, we did running receivers a couple of weeks back. We did our top receivers. And so for me in PPR, I've got a Jigba at number 11 overall, 11th best receiver. Okay. To me, and there's only a handful of running backs that are in that mix in PPR, right? So no, I have I'm sorry, not 11. I have number 10. In PPR, I have number 10. And so he's easily to me valued at if you're going heavy receiver and I'm drafting bottom of the first, I'll take Njigba in the top of the second if I needed to. I'd be happy to take him there, but I don't have to take him there because his ADP has been up to this point has been 36. It's now creeped up a little bit. It's 33 now. So his draft stock is going up a little bit. But man, at the bottom of the third round, I mean, basically every time I get to the third round, unless I've gone receiver ahead of him, and even in times where I've still gone receiver, I still take them sometimes to go 3 receivers to start the draft. Yeah. I don't typically love to do that, but there are moments where I've done it. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think he's the 10th best overall PPR receiver coming into 2025. For him to be drafted in the bottom of the third round in best ball, I just think is absolutely absurd. 53% championship, mark it down.
So you said you had him 10th in PPR. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I have him 12th in PPR. So yeah, we're pretty much right on the same page there. I love Jackson Smith and Jigba as well. I only have him in 22% of leagues, I guess, which is kind of it's pretty close to those honorable mentions. So if we extended to top 20, I think he would have made the cut there. I always want him. I don't know, for some reason it's the same thing. He tends to be taken 1 or 2 picks before me. Maybe it just had bad luck or something. But I try to take him, and I agree. I think late round 3 is just absurd. I think he belongs late round 2. I think he's in that same area or just a little bit worse than AJ Brown. I have AJ Brown at 16 more points in PPR than Jackson Smith and Jigba. I know that you don't like projections, but that's where we stand. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I like him as well. He's not on my list, but he could easily could be by the end of the summer if I start getting luckier and have him available for me.
Yeah, I actually have him 10th, and I have in PPR. I have Tyreek Hill at 9, but I'm feeling less and less confident by Tyreek Hill. So you catch me in a week or two, I might have Njigba in the 9th spot.
I have Tyreek Hill at 13, which seems a little high. I am way down on Tyreek Hill. I have to adjust my rankings. He should not be 13. He should be 19. I think Tyreek Hill's done.
I don't know what to make of Tyreek Hill. I'm still wrestling back and forth on what do I think of that offense, what do I think of him, and so.
Well, we just had a report saying Tua is trying to get the ball out even faster, which is bad news for Hill. So. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I want to see if I drafted Hill at all.
I mean, the Chiefs used him really well on bubble screens and quick slants when he was. We haven't seen that in Miami at all.
No, McDaniel's too dumb to do that. He can't. He has to give the ball to Alec Ingold. They had that one game against Seattle last year in Week 3. Alec Ingold had as many touches as Hill and Waddle combined. This is the first game that Tua missed, and I was like, I thought you did. I was like, they're going to try to give short passes to Hill and Waddle to have them create, and he just didn't do that. He was just too dumb to figure that out. So I think Mike McDaniel is just a horrible coach.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. So and plus, look, Hill's now 31. He seems to have lost a step. He's still super fast, but he's lost a step. I think that offensive line stinks, and he could be in jail. So there's that too. So that's a little negative there for Hill. All right. So your number one was Jackson Smith-Njigba. My number one is a running back. This is the highest exposed running back. Obviously, it's Isaac Guerendo. So like 4 Niners on this list. Isaac Guerendo in a sexy 69% of leagues. I don't think this needs much explanation because I've talked about him so often. Christian McCaffrey could bounce back. He could have a great year, but he could be in decline. He has an extensive injury history. He played in only 4 games last year. There have been positive reports, but he's getting up there in age, and so I don't really trust him to stay healthy. If McCaffrey goes down for an extended period of time or even a few games, Guerendo is going to come in. Bless you, many times, Kenny. Guerendo is going to come in and have some big performances. He's a big back. He's super fast. He's his athletic testing's off the charts. I think that, and there's no real, there's no competition. Elijah Mitchell's gone. Jordan Mason's gone. It's just Guerendo as the RB2. And, given McCaffrey's age and injury history, like they're not going to give, especially and maybe late in the season, but early in the middle parts of the season, they're not going to feed McCaffrey like 25 or like 30 touches a game. Guerendo will be involved. And as said before, the Niners have such an easy schedule that there's a chance that they could be involved in a few blowouts, and then it could be the Guerendo show in the fourth quarter. So I like Guerendo a lot. You didn't talk about him at all. How many? What's the percentage owned do you have at Guerendo?
I don't have him in a lot. I only have him in 3 or 4 leagues.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think most of what you're saying is right. I probably have kind of undersold him a little bit now that they talk about it. I guess I watch him play. I just don't think he's that great of a player. He's fine. So I guess I'm not convinced he's great. So yeah, sometimes opportunity and volume are able enough to trump talent if you're not a great player. Yeah, I guess when I get to I think everything you're saying is accurate. Like I don't disagree. He just doesn't stand out to me, so I don't feel the need to like go out of my way for him. Yeah, but I also said I like the offense and think they're going to be productive. So maybe I'm talking out of 2 sides of my mouth here. I don't know why I'm not. I watch him play and I'm just not excited about it. I guess when I get to that point of the draft where he's being drafted, the other guys that are around him, let me see. The other guys that are kind of in his ilk, or the guys that are similar, his ADP is 148. Does that sound right?
He usually goes like 12th round. So whenever we get to the 12th round, I'm like, oh, let me see if Guerendo's there, and I'll take him.
J.K. Dobbins is a guy that I've taken quite a bit in that area. Although I've taken less of him recently. I've got J.K. Dobbins in 29% of leagues. So he's a guy that I'm often taking that spot. Jalen Wright, I do have a few Jalen Wright, a little bit there. He's in that same spot. Tajay Spears, I've taken a little bit there. Ray Davis, Braylon Allen, Blake Corum. Those are all guys that I kind of have more. I got more stock of those guys, and they're all kind of the guys I kind of see similar. So I'm not taking a lot of them.
Okay, I would rather have him over the other guys that you mentioned. I love Jalen Wright. I'd rather have Guerendo just because the offensive line's great. Like everything looks good for the offense with the Niners for him to produce. I still don't know what to do with McCaffrey. Have you drafted any Christian McCaffrey?
A little bit, but not a lot. I think it was just 1 or 2 leagues, 1 or 2 drafts.
I drafted him for the first time yesterday, and I posted the video where I broke down that draft. So you guys can check that out on the channel. I took him at 109, and I'm like, he was going like 201, 202 before the draft, and like now Actually, in one of my drafts, he went 102, which I thought was insane. But 109, yeah, I think 109. I'm like, okay, look, there is major downside here. He could lose this league for me, but there's a lot of upside. If he's healthy, then I'll take him. So in that draft, I did not take Garendo. I think you can't take both. I think that's a mistake. Like, don't ever. I think it's a huge mistake to handcuff your own guys. I think you should handcuff your other guys. Like, when we get to the real fantasy. But like, still, I think that's really one or the other. I think one of these guys, either McCaffrey, Garendo, is going to have a huge year. And, you get Garendo in the 12th round. So it's basically a free pick because a lot of people don't want him, or for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah. I've got McCaffrey in one league. And then, no, I've got Garendo in three drafts. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, well, that's still not a lot. I mean, it's
9%.
10%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's okay. Yeah, I guess there's a handful of guys that get to that point in the draft that I'm also pretty heavy. My strategy has been receiver, running back heavy in the first 9 or 10 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like my most often strategy has been running back, receiver in the first 9 rounds, Mark Andrews in round 10, and then a combination of quarterbacks and tight ends over the next few rounds and then come back to running back and receiver late. With the exception of Bigsby and Stevenson based on where they fall. Like, that's kind of like my typical. And so like, I think just where he's being drafted, I'm just typically looking elsewhere. I think that's probably more of it than anything.
Yeah, it makes sense. For me, I think like the end of round 8 is kind of like a benchmark for me. Like, because when round 8's over, I want 2 running backs, 5 receivers, and then 1 other. And the other could be a 6th receiver, or it could be a tight end like Kittle or something, or Bowers, or it could be one of those 5 elite quarterbacks. So we mentioned, and that's why I don't have an issue taking quarterback, because that's just one of my one other. Because by the end of round 8, I'm fine with 2 running backs and 5 receivers, because like I said, rounds 11 through 15, I love those running backs, those backup running backs. Like, I want like them with every pick. I like the quarterbacks in the rounds 9 through 12 or 13 range, so I take 2 of them there. And then tight ends too, like you mentioned, Mark Andrews round 9, David Njoku round 10. You mentioned a few others, like there's Tucker Kraft, Dalton Kincaid, I think, coming back from injury, Dallas Goedert you talked about. And of course, Tyler Higbee in round 19. You have to remember him. Theo Johnson too, in like round 18. So yeah. So like I said, there is, for me at least, like there's a dead zone in round 4, and so that is like when I consider quarterback or tight end. But we agree otherwise. Like, it's except for that one pick, it's all running back or receiver for me in the first 8 rounds.
I think I am almost. I mean, my general thought is not to take a quarterback or a tight end, although I've done it a couple times here. So I mean, yeah, that's not. I'm not going in thinking that.
Yeah.
If I get to end around 8, I only have 2 running backs. I'm feeling nervous.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm usually okay, because like I like a lot of those around 11 through 15 running backs.
Yeah, I like a lot of the receivers that are. I've gone, which this is unusual. I've gone heavy running back early in the draft a couple times, and then get a bunch load up on the mid-tier receivers. I actually like that a lot. I did that. I've done that in a few leagues where I went like in the first 4 rounds, get 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, get one good, one like hero receiver, and then go like 6 receivers over the next pick. So it's like I get to the end of round 10 and I've got 7 receivers, and and those receivers are typically going to be Devontae Smith and Jordan Addison and Jawan Jennings and Khalil Shakir, and just kind of a myriad of guys in that ilk. Jalen Reed, and I can't remember the other guys, but like that's kind of Xavier Worthy. Although he's been trending upward, so I'm getting less of him.
Yeah.
So if I walk away with 6 or 7 of those guys in the first 10 rounds and not necessarily miss out on the elite guys, I feel fine, because inevitably in any given week, one or two of those guys are going to produce. And I'm working on a little bit of a research project. Is it better to have a running back as your flex or a receiver? And I think in DraftKings, the assumption is receiver.
PPR,
but running backs have a higher percentage of scoring a touchdown. They have a higher touchdowns. Running backs still collectively score 26% of all touchdowns in the NFL. Receivers collectively score about 25% of about 25% of all touchdowns in the NFL. And so but they split them. There's more receivers on a team. So yeah, I think people are like tight ends and quarterbacks are still quarterbacks are scoring more touchdowns nowadays than ever at any point in NFL history.
I think though, like once you get to like your flex pick, like all the top running backs are gone, and so like when you look like who's scoring touchdowns at running back, like at that point, it's gonna be less than the receivers because like receiver is like theoretically deeper at first, and then it trails off, and then running back becomes deeper once you get to the backups, because like like running backs, like you have those backups, you have like Garendo, you have Jalen Wright, you have Bigsby, you have Ray Davis. Like if the starters ahead of them go down, we know they will produce. They have we have so much history of that. But at receiver, if the starters go down, it's not necessarily true that those receivers will produce. It's just like, okay, the quarterback's just going to struggle because his top receiver's gone and no one's going to catch passes. So that's why I like taking these backup running backs. Otherwise, you can't really take backup receivers at that rate, But like once you get the flex, that's what, like round 7, round 8. I think the receivers there are stronger than the running backs. Well, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I guess like you have some guys falling like Swift and Pacheco and Jones, where they should be. Like the problem is like they should be going earlier. For some reason they're available. But like in a logical world, I think receiver would make more sense. But given where the running backs are going, I think it might be running back. So you might be right about that.
So I think for me, there's I think I was drafting 4th overall. I took Barkley 4th overall because Bijan went second. It was Chase, Bijan, Jefferson, and so I was at 4th pick. So I took Barkley there. I get to the bottom of the second. It's like it was a receiver heavy, receiver. So I get to the bottom of the second. Derrick Henry's still on the board. Kyren Williams on the board. So I went Chase Brown there. I think you can make an argument for Henry, but I went Chase Brown. I come back there in the 3-4. I take Jackson Smith and Jigba in the 3rd round there. So and then I come back to the bottom part of the 4th round, and I took Joe Mixon. And so okay, here I am. I've got 3 running backs and a receiver. Well, then from rounds 5 through 9, I just pounded receiver, and I took in that league I ended up with Xavier Worthy, Juwan Jennings, Juwan Jennings there, Jalen Reed later in the draft, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle's available, and that's Jordan Addison, although who knows, he might be in prison, we'll see. But and then like Ricky Pearsall, those kinds of guys. I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm happy if I can get 6 of those guys, 5 of those guys.
Yeah,
I feel confident. And then and so I think in that draft I missed out Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews went early, so tight end I just waited a little bit on tight end. I think I went Loveland and then Dallas Goedert back-to-back draft rounds. And then my quarterbacks, I think in that like Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, and Anthony Richardson are like my quarterbacks in that league. In that team. So and then throw Keaton Mitchell and Tyler Higbee on the back end, as I do in every, Ray McLeod is another guy I've thrown in the back end quite a bit. There's a couple other guys we've talked about, but yeah, I don't feel the need, that if I do go heavy running back on the first few rounds, then I'm not touching running back until like my next running back pick usually is like Ramondre Stevenson round 11 or 12, and then Bigsby, in that league, I went, Barkley, Chase Brown, Joe Mixon, and then my next running backs are Ramondre Stevenson and Tank Bigsby, and then Keaton Mitchell. Those are my 6 running backs in that kind of draft. So I'm going a long stretch in the middle there without touching running back position, but I like a lot of those receivers in that middle part. I feel fine going to war with 6 of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many strategies you can utilize. It is funny though that you said that like Derrick Henry fell to you at the end of round 2, and you took Chase Brown. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I love Chase Brown. I think that he could easily have a better season than Henry, who's getting up there in age. But for me, my strategy would be is like, okay, even though I like Brown more, I think I'd probably just take Henry just because I never get Henry. Like I would never take him late round 1. But if he's there late round 2, I'm like, well, I have no exposure to this guy. I think, well, maybe not no. I have how much?
I have very little.
I have Henry in 3%. So I'm like, okay, if I can get him and get some exposure to him, I'll just do it. And I think that's probably why my percentages are lower than yours. Because, you know, if a guy falls, I'm like a perfect example of this is Travis Hunter. I took in that Christian McCaffrey draft. I'd never take Hunter because it goes round 4, and I think that's absurd. And I think even round 5 is early, but he fell to 509. That's the latest I saw him fall. And all the guys I liked around 5 were taken, so I could have like gone for Juwan Jennings. But I'm like, look, I have so much Jennings, I have no Travis Hunter. Let me give me some exposure to Hunter.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So that's what I tend to do. Is if a guy falls, I'll just take the value.
Yeah, I've not done that as much. You've done more. You've done twice as many drafts at this point I have. So I'm at but I probably at some point should start thinking that a little bit more.
Yeah, look, I mean, like if you do, like the more drafts you do, like at some point you're gonna be like, okay, I probably drafted the same team, so let me just try to get a little different. You know, that's how I feel. Love to asking DeMarcus Robinson late sleeper. Not for me. I've not taken Robinson. In fact, I've taken Atwell. Not a lot, but let me see how many times I've taken Atwell. I've taken Atwell in 14% actually. And I think it's like every time I take Stafford, I'm like, oh, who am I going to take in the 20th round? Let me take Tutu Atwell. They re-signed him to a $10 million contract, and look, Sean McVay said that he wants to get the ball more to Atwell. Now, look, I mean that's coach speak. It could be nonsense. By week 4, he just might not even be on an active roster. But look, they did give him $10 million, and he's younger than DeMarcus Robinson. I think there's a chance he's going to be the number 3, but still, like, you're going to have Nakua, Adams, and Higbee hogging up so many touches that, like, it's just so hard to take another Rams receiver. And like, I think, like, 14% Atwell is probably a little too high.
Yeah. By the way, I gave Ron. I just pulled out my research here. I forgot. It's receivers collectively score 40% of touchdowns in the NFL. Running backs collectively scores 26%. So, but there's at any given year, there's almost 3 times as many receivers scoring touchdowns than running backs.
Yeah, because teams use 1 or 2 running backs and teams use like 3, 4, 5 receivers. So right. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Lefty says Henry is like Frank Gore. Just when you think he is done, he's a living dead. He gets a living dead situation. Yeah, he just doesn't go away. We thought like that year in 2023 when he was splitting carries with Tajay Spears, I was like, oh, he's done. And then last year he runs for 1,900 yards. So I don't know. I mean, could he be done this year? Like, I want to say yes, and then I'll look stupid when he runs for 1,800 yards again.
He, I mean, 2024 might have been his best. I mean, maybe not statistically his best year, but he looked really good down the stretch, and he looked really good in that. In the Ravens offense down the stretch. So, it's hard. I have been the biggest Derrick Henry hater. He's been my whipping boy for a long time. And he's carved out a pretty good career. And it's hard to totally bash him.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley, everyone would be talking about what a great year he had.
That's right. It's totally overshadowed. It's really a shame because you look at the numbers. And you go, oh my gosh, he had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
And it's totally overshadowed by Saquon.
It's crazy, isn't it? That's pretty wild. And we need a Leroy Ward goal line back. Yeah. Remember Zach Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, the Raiders? He was like the best goal line back of all time. It was just like 1 yard, he was like 100% like conversions at the one.
Did he play for the Colts for a while too?
Did Zach Crocker play for the Colts? I don't know, but I mean,
There-
he was on the Raiders team that went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, he had Mike Allstott over
He
the
did play for the
years.
Colts. He played 3 years for the Colts,
Yeah.
and then he played for the Jaguars, and then he played 10 years for the Raiders. Yeah, he was just he's a touchdown machine from back in the day. He wouldn't do anything else. They just like 1 yard line, put in Zach Crockett, and he just like plunged into the end zone. He was awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's about it. We're getting close to 2 hours. So, Kenny, you want to talk about thecapisfake.com?
You can check it out, thecapandfake.com. Lots of articles about various topics. If you really care about the salary cap or all things financial and other random things, fantasy. And as I mentioned, I'm working on a research project on touchdowns. So some history of stuff, some interesting stuff. WNBA players are overpaid. Check that out. So if you happen to believe that the salary cap is real, you should read it because it's not real. Or if you just want random heavy stat informational articles with occasional quips and barbs at random players, feel free to read it and enjoy thecapsfake.com.
I as you know, I love getting under people's skin on Twitter. Who is this girl? Angel Reese, is that her name?
Yeah.
Is that right? She posted, she's like, first triple double ever. And I quoted her and I said, oh, let me guess, 10 minutes, 10 turnovers, 10 fouls. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, I do the Cap Hinders team. I definitely check out thecapisfake.com. Tons of great stuff on here, and yeah, you can read about why WNBA players are actually like very overpaid. I'll say, but yeah, lots of good stuff on here. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with Mike Lucine. So we'll be doing a best ball draft then. Otherwise, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description of the merch store, and visit walterfootball.com with tons of content, also all free. So Kenny, love doing this with you. After your hiatus, felt like, wow, Kenny, it felt like you haven't been on in like 3 weeks for some reason. Because I'm used to talk to you every week. So glad we did this, and we'll have to have a new topic. We'll come up with something next week, I'm sure. But yeah, otherwise, I hope you guys have a great 10 fights exactly. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
You the man, Walt.